friends, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Fort Worth Roots. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you stream your podcast from. Just look for Fort Worth Roots. Social media, Fort Worth Roots on Facebook, Instagram, all the stuff.
I know that I got my dad's genes in me, and I don't want to do that to anybody else either. You know, like, right. I know what I went through, and I know I'd do it again. I'd perpetuate that cycle for sure.
We're unpacking all the skeletons tonight,
yeah,
folks.
Absolutely. Oh, no, this ain't no skeleton. Anybody that knows that, like, there's difficult relationships there.
Real quick, our sponsors are Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk. They are offering a 50% off roofing tune-up for anybody that just mentions the Fort Worth Roots podcast. You can find them at roofingsolutionshouk.com. Wood Post Metalworks, they do light steel fabrication and plasma cutting. Find them at woodpostmetalworks.com. Houk Walker Originals, all sorts of custom gift ideas on their website. Find them at houkwalker.com. Again, more information at the end of the episode about our sponsors. This episode does come with a pretty strong language warning. If you've listened to any of the previous episodes where I've issued one of these warnings, it's something that we do. I want my guests to feel comfortable whenever they're here recording with us, and I try not to censor them too much. I feel like you lose some authenticity if we do that. So if you do have children in the room, this might not be the best episode for them. We did try to do something very different in this episode. Our guest has just released a new album called Stranger, which you can get on Bandcamp, and we do have the link in the show notes for this episode. But he performed, wrote, recorded, mixed. He did everything for this album by himself. So what we did is we dubbed in some of the music and had him discuss what was going on in these tracks and what the intention was behind each song. Guys and gals, stay tuned to the very end. I've got more information about sponsors and events that might be coming up and some more incoherent rambling from your host just to kind of close out the show. That's enough talking out of me. Thank y'all for being here. Please give it up for the very talented Mr. Clayton Smith. And let's start the show.
I believe it.
But I think it's a... Does your car have a temperature gauge in it?
Yeah, it's been saying 108 today.
It's hot.
I don't believe it, but...
Well, I would definitely believe 104.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, I'm at work, I'm going through 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons of water a day.
I believe it.
Just being out in this heat.
It's funny, it's like, you're talking about how hot it is. It's like, it's cooler in here than it is in my house. Like, this is a vacation.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Cheers to that. And Clayton, thank you for being here, brother. I appreciate that, man. I tell people all the time, it's not lost on me that you don't have to be here. And everybody's got something to promote, and I think that's what gets my foot in the door.
Yeah.
You've got a new album coming out.
Yeah, Stranger. It's coming out, let's say, September 9th is the day we're shooting for it.
What is fun about September 9th is September 10th, there's a big-ass show going on. Have you heard about this out at Pouring Glory?
No.
So your release is on September 9th. September 10th, a bunch of nerds are going to get together, and they're going to have 3 live bands and 1 comedian.
Hell yeah.
And $3 drafts, a special menu for food, and there's going to be a vendor market and all this shit.
That sounds excellent. What band?
Well, it's the first time Fort Worth Roots has ever put on a show.
Yeah.
And we're bringing out a bunch of our friends that have been on the show already, and we're showcasing them and inviting the public to come out. So I'll give you a flyer before you get out of here.
Cool, thank you.
So tell me a little bit about this album.
On the very last song, I got a couple of friends helping sing, but other than that, I did every last bit of it. I had a couple of songs floating around. I remember this one that kind of bookends both sides of it. In particular, I'd shown it to my buddy Nick, and he was like, hey man, like, I've got an idea. Like, we need to split this song up and make it into, like, build something around that concept.
Now, are these the songs that you sent me?
Yes.
Okay, because I was in the process of listening to that, and you told me, yeah, I don't have to listen to the whole thing. It's better if you do.
Yeah.
So I started off at the beginning, and I think I was about halfway through it. So which track are you talking about now with your friend?
So the first track, it's an introduction to Remembrance, and it's just a short little snippet. I remember when we used to sing. And then I Remember is on the other side of it. And it takes a piece of that and then a piece that's kind of shoved up in the middle and like builds it into a full song and ties it all together.
If you don't mind, while we're talking, I'm gonna dub those songs in. If you're okay with
totally
me,
fine.
Kind of showing your music off.
Yeah, I don't mind at all.
And,
I'll shoot you the most recent master. I think it's finished.
We got time. We got time.
But
so this episode here will release sometime after September 10th.
Cool, perfect.
So that'll be good for the release.
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. Yeah, I'll shoot you the.
I want to make sure I get the
finished
best audio too. So if we need to trade it in person, that's fine too. I'll meet you at a truck stop.
It's not a problem.
No questions asked. You know, two bearded dudes showing up at a truck stop.
Easy.
Yeah. All right, but we have reasons. So, you a fan of Deep Elm? Treating you all right?
Yeah, it's great. I'm not an IPA guy usually, but
yeah,
it's hot.
That's my go-to. I like it a lot. You got to be careful with them though.
Yeah.
What's the APV on this? It's 7%. So
not enough.
a little bit more than your typical cowboy drink right there. So where are you staying at these days? Are you here in Fort Worth?
Yeah, I'm in Fort Worth. I live a little bit north of Benbrook.
Okay.
Just like right over the Benbrook-Fort Worth line.
It looked like you'd either set up plans to gig at Lola's or you already have?
Yeah, Rye Boys have been playing at Lola's for years. The recent band that I've been playing with, Band Laredo, plays at Lola's every once in a while. We're close with them.
Now the Rye Boys, that's your band, and y'all have been in business for a decade?
Yeah, 10, 12 years, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's so loosey-goosey. It's
get together when you can, right?
Yeah, well, there's 30 of us, probably 30, 40 of us. The people who show up to play bounce in and out, and it's a different thing every time, and so it's kind of hard to figure out how to promote sometimes of like with that stuff. Is it's just whatever we feel like doing at the time.
I've never heard of a band structured like that.
Yeah.
You got 30 or 40 people.
There's
a 10-person I don't know in there somewhere.
For sure.
And so with the Rye Boys, has Clayton Smith been a constant in that band?
For the most part, yeah. I lived in Kansas City for 3 or 4 years there. 4 or 5 years. I think I get lost. I lived in Kansas City for a chunk in there, and they did some stuff down here while I wasn't there, but then, like, they'd come up and do stuff up there with me. It's me and Nick Harper, the other fella, are the
that sounds
most
really familiar.
constant. He runs sound a lot around town.
Okay.
He works the Post a lot, works at
Okay.
a lot of that Avalon stuff that Rodney does.
Okay.
Nick's involved with. But yeah, me and him are the most constant, but neither of us are always there either.
So here lately, has that been your focus, the Rye Boys?
No, it's never. To call it a focus is an odd.
A few missteps.
Yeah. That would be odd to consider it that at any point in time. It's much more of a friendly collective.
So if you catch the Rye Boys local and live,
You're in for a treat.
you've
It's fun.
really
Yeah,
stumbled upon something.
For sure. It's going to be different than the last time you saw it, I guarantee you.
How about the Band Laredo? What's going on with that?
Band Laredo is... So Lucas, the front man for Band Laredo, he's played drums for the Rye Boys. So he was like our very first drummer 12, 13 years ago. And he started playing... He decided he wanted to do like pop punk Texas country thing, and had been playing around for a few months, and then I had moved back to town, and Nick had moved back to town. He was living in Austin, and Lucas hit us both up and was like, hey man, like, why don't you guys come play with me? Like, that would be fun, wouldn't it? And I was like, that does sound fun. So we've been doing that for the past year or so, and it's really working, man. Like, it's fun. We're playing around. We've been opening up a lot of shows for Vandaliers. Josh and Vandaliers is a close friend of mine, and he's been throwing us a lot of work. We did a run with Pecos and the Rooftops.
Is that all happening here in Fort Worth or Denton?
Some in Fort Worth. We played at Lola's. We played at Hank's out in McKinney.
When you say Lola's, are you at the new location already?
These were at the old ones. I don't think
Okay.
we've played at the new one yet. I've been over there a couple of times. No, we haven't played over there yet. Played at Del Norte over in Godley.
What do you think about that? I mean, Lola's was such an iconic spot right there off of 7th, and
For sure.
everybody loved that patch of dirt. Now it's over there in kind of this oddball location.
Yeah, I totally get it.
It's got
though.
fresh paint, and it's well lit. And I just don't even know what to think of it. It is a beautiful space, and I've caught one performance there, Austin Mead.
Nice.
And it was excellent.
The staff seems to be really enthusiastic about the new spot.
I'll agree.
And I trust them.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not long enough into it for me to make a firm judgment. But I trust them. Yeah, and getting out of 7th seems like a nice.
It's a good move. Yeah. That whole area. Rest in peace.
Yeah,
right?
it's difficult. I'm stoked. I'm a little stoked and a little worried. Both the new Fred's location and where they're moving, Magnolia Motor Lounge.
Oh, they are moving it. That's the first time I've heard that.
I hope I'm not doing it. I saw an article about this a few months ago that said something about they were talking about moving on that little roundabout on 183.
Yeah.
That's like a mile from my house. That sounds awesome. That sounds so great.
You got Fred's and Lola's right there.
I can ride my bike to the fucking motor lounge. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and the motor lounge. My bad.
That sounds awesome. Fred's is great too. Like I don't know. I'm stoked about.
Have you been in the new one?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good setup.
Yeah, I'm stoked about more of my friends moving to the area that I'm living, but also terrified because I know that like people are gonna figure out how cheap it is, blow up my spot.
Well, yeah. Whenever you compare it to places like 7th Street,
For sure.
it's been. I don't know that this is true, but it certainly feels like we have a lot of out-of-state influences in that area, and it's nothing like Fort Worth.
No.
You go to 7th Street, it's like stepping into a kind of a para-Austin environment.
For sure.
It does not feel like Fort Worth anymore.
It's a constant struggle for me every time I go down there.
With one exception, there's one place that I'm still holding on to, and I love it to death, and I hope it never goes away. And it's the only reason I think I'm going to go back down to 7th Street, and it's Kung Fu Saloon. I love that place.
I haven't been into Kung Fu Saloon, but I've heard it's awesome.
And they've done a lot of cool shit in there, and they've got a hamburger egg roll.
Cool.
You walk in there, you're not going to think this place serves food, but they have an entire food menu.
I'm very down.
Yeah, that Kung Fu Saloon's hamburger egg roll is something that people should be writing papers on. It's delicious.
My fiance's uncle, we went out to Colorado a couple years ago to hang out with them. And
what part of Colorado? Nope, I had to do it, didn't I?
You had to do it.
Colorado Springs, Denver.
No, it was this tiny, tiny town. It was like
north,
past
south,
the Front Ridge a little bit. Like coming, go southwest of Denver.
Southwest of Denver.
Yeah, past Red Rocks, past all that.
Basically New Mexico.
Basically New Mexico.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But he was obsessed with this concept of he wanted to make Philly cheesesteak egg rolls and Philly cheesesteak wontons. He couldn't decide between the two.
Did he ever
this
make
was like
one?
a week-long obsession. He couldn't find all the supplies to do it.
So it just
I
never
felt
happened?
so bad for him. Yeah, I was like, dude, we'll get it next time. I promise. I'm sorry. He was excited. I'm a carnitas connoisseur, and I make some fucking good carnitas. That was the first time that I'd met a lot of her family, and I made them all carnitas. And for the rest of the week, he was just like obsessed. He's like, "Oh, you know food?" And I was like, "I know carnitas."
That I can do.
Yeah.
Carnitas and Pop-Tarts.
For
What's
sure.
up? I don't. That would, if I had a second thing, it'd be Pop-Tarts.
Yeah. I like to smoke things. I got a smoker in my backyard, but I don't like cooking inside as much.
Yeah. It's not where it's at.
No.
You're an outdoors dude.
I like being outside. I like being inside too. I like things.
I like stuff and whatnot.
It's mostly kitchens. It gets hot but you don't get to see the sun. It seems counterintuitive to me.
Yeah. I like being in front of the grill, but I don't want to go outside for any reason.
Yeah.
Right now in August
Not right
in
now.
Texas.
No.
It's
we're almost there.
we got to be setting records. We're definitely on 4th of July, we had 230, I believe, don't quote me on this, folks, wildfires here in the city of Fort Worth that the fire department had to respond to. Now, that alone has got to be a record, but it's just been a hot, dry. I can't remember the last time we had rain.
No, I know that, like, I've been teased with a little bit a couple of times where it's like, we'll get a couple of drops, but anything that I would consider actual rain, I feel like I just haven't seen, maybe ever. Whenever I was working in Houston this last week, and I work in hotels I do audio video stuff, filming focus groups, shit like that. And so I don't get to go outside all day. And I heard that it rained in Houston, but I don't have windows. I didn't see any of it, so I don't believe it still.
It's like a casino in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, can we get back into that music you shared with me, Clayton, a little bit? Because I'd like to share some more of that with our listeners. I'm going to play those first two tracks.
Cool.
Kind of at the beginning whenever you were talking about that, but it kind of sounded like whenever you wrote these songs, you were working through maybe some life obstacles or trying to get around or through some things.
Yeah, it's constant. Everybody's struggling all the time, you know?
Right. Was that somewhat of an influence in that music? 'Cause that's
for sure it was.
How I interpreted it.
I feel like a significant portion of it deals with identity and trying to figure out who the fuck you are and like what you want to do, what's important, what's not important. And coming out the other side of it, I feel like what the conclusion I came to is friendship and love is really all that fucking matters.
For sure.
The homies, that's it.
Yeah.
That's
kind of the focus of this album.
For sure. It revolves very heavily around friendships and personal relationships and trying to figure out what you need to do and like trying to take some agency and personal responsibility in these things. I feel like I've at least been guilty of throwing around blame, throwing around just angry words to people that don't deserve it. They didn't, like, it was just as much my fault as anyone else's in 99% of situations.
I don't want to get all Barbara Walters on you here, but
no, I appreciate
is there anything specific? I mean, we're taking some broad strokes at that, but people that are trying to understand your album might want to know.
I'm shit at talking about things.
That's why you made an album, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's fucking listen to it.
Jot it down, sing about it. A lot easier than have to talk to a stranger about it on a podcast.
Yeah, and it's tough too. Is like some of them are personal enough that I'm like, nah, you don't get to fucking hear about that. Figure it out.
That's fine. That's fine.
No,
she knows what I meant.
Yeah. Let me pull up the list. See what.
Yeah, walk us through it.
Yeah, that makes it easier.
So we're kind of just
trying to.
We're probably we were playing track number 3 that you shared with me.
Number 3. Where is it?
You may pull it up.
No, I got it. Number 3, Go to Hell. That one is pretty tailored towards trying to deal with people that are incredibly self-righteous and have no perspective of what other people are going through. Words spread fire like methane gas. You've been getting high on fumes, picking lies at your teeth, singing them sad tunes. Pills in a pile on your porcelain sink to keep your nerves in check. Wonder when you gon' figure out that they ain't working yet, they ain't working yet. Trying to communicate with them directly, like, your solutions aren't the solution for everyone.
Right.
That one's much more pointed and angry. Like, I feel like the first 2 or 3 songs are more lashing out towards, like, the at least the narrator of the whole thing seems to be in an angry place at the beginning of all this, saying, fuck all y'all, you can't tell me what to do. And then gradually as we get through is you get to Australia.
I'll be the devil, you'll be the breeze. I'll hide in the dark while you travel the seas. There ain't nothing I could say that would make you stay. So I'll bite my tongue till the iron it stains my taste buds red with resentment. Lock my tears way up in the back of my skull. You can't see 'em, 'cause you don't deserve 'em.
We start coming around the track at Australia.
Yeah, and then it comes back to Australia, which is much more geared towards that realization of maybe things can be my fault too. And that not everything's somebody else's fault, and trying to come to terms with that and come to terms with what to do about that. And a lot of it too is written kind of from the perspective of someone having to deal with being in a friendship or a relationship with someone like me, where I'm gone all the time. Like, I'm just gone all the time. And I know that the people I love often have to hear about cool shit that I'm doing from somebody else. Have to hear about, like, they hear all this stuff secondhand just because, like, I'm in the midst of doing it, and I don't think to, like, just sit down and text or call literally everyone and be like, I did this cool thing. Like, that feels narcissistic.
Right.
I try to avoid that in my own personal life, and then
The times that you have something to share with people, it's whenever you're kind of up a step, and
for sure.
so the one time you have a chance to communicate with people, you don't feel like doing it. 'Cause
No.
you don't want to come off as a dickhead.
For sure. And so, like, that song is very much from the perspective of somebody dealing with that, where it's, oh, you did this awesome thing, and, like, I'm hearing about it from the neighbor.
Yeah.
That sucks. It's like, that does suck, and I need to be better. But
I think we all deal with that. I hope we all do, because I can very well relate to what you're talking about. I busy myself. You know, we talked about this. I work a lot, and then I fill the rest of my time with the podcast.
for sure.
And I think as we get older, it's just harder and harder to maintain those relationships, because we feel the time slipping away, and we're trying so hard to grind away and do something productive, and we kind of our friendships and our relationships become the casualties of us trying to be productive.
For sure.
I don't know.
Man, communication's so tough. Like, it's tough to be vulnerable. It's tough to just call your, like, even if it's just, like, calling your friend and saying, hey, man, like, I just had a bad day, and, like, I don't want to talk about it, but help. Like, that's tough to do in itself. Much less going through the list of everything, like, trying to determine, like, ranking your daily activities of what's important to tell people. Like, it's damn near impossible.
Yeah.
Especially, like, I mean, it seems like you're in the same boat, where I'm just obsessive about, I gotta be doing something.
Yeah. 100%.
I work a lot. My work takes me away from home, so I'm gone half the month often. And if I'm not gone doing that, often I'm gone playing shows. If I'm not doing that, I'm at home in the studio working on something. I've been tracking songs for friends lately too, and, like, trying to get more into production and stuff like that. And it takes a lot of time, and there's no possible way to communicate that to everyone.
Yeah. And everybody's got their own shit.
For sure.
Do you have kids?
And, like, no, I don't have any kids.
Yeah, that's something that we share. I don't have kids either, but it's hard to relate to. Everybody probably has an issue relating to one another as far as our workload.
Yeah.
And I can't relate to somebody that's got kids. I don't have to worry about getting a
it's so
babysitter.
hard.
I definitely could not do the lifestyle that I'm living if I had kids.
Right.
And I worry that my friends that do have children see that as kind of a hindrance in our relationship. Like,
For sure.
You don't get it.
Yeah.
You want me to come do this thing with you?
Sorry.
Like, I can't. I got kids, dude.
I try to be patient. I've got Fella Keith plays banjo with the Rye Boys. He's one of the 30.
What's up, Keith?
And he's got a couple of kids. I just try and be patient with him as much as I can. It's like, yeah, dude, like, whatever it is, I get it. If you can be there, you can be there. If you can't, you can't. Like, it ain't no thing.
We're either going to have a banjo or we won't.
Yeah, for sure. Which I
hope you can make it, Keith.
I think he enjoys it. Is like, I think that he really likes the freedom of that. Of like, he knows that he's welcome on any stage I'm at any point in time.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the fuck band it is. I think that trying to keep that patience with your friends with kids is important, but also like it's hard whenever it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I want to hang out, and you got kids, and that's fucking stupid. Like,
and we kind of hyper focused on kids, but everybody's got their own thing. You might have elder parents that you got to take care of.
Oh yeah, you got me going in, man.
You might have a whole lot of different shit.
That's Sydney, my fiance and partner. Her and I are both in strong agreement that we're not having kids. We've got a very large extended family, and there's so many kids. We got plenty of them.
That's enough.
Y'all have them. I'll see them when I see them, but I ain't trying to deal with that. And I don't hold any judgment, like, it's, people get to live their lives the way they want to, and it's beautiful.
Well, statistically, I guess I saw this on a meme or a newspaper article or something. It must have been a meme. Let's not pretend like I read the fucking newspaper.
For sure.
But it looks like, how do they classify this? Reproduction or childbirth or whatever for our generation. I'm saying close to you. I'm 37, and it's way down for our age group.
I'm sure
because the cost of living has gone up. We've seen so much shit since we were kids. It started with 9/11, and it's just gotten so much worse after that. And I think it's a social thing, but there's also some worries that there might be a genetic issue inside the human species gene pool. Like we're just slowing down. We don't have the need or the desire to reproduce at this point.
Oh, shit.
A lot of people in our age group are just opting out of having kids.
Yeah.
What's the point? And like you said, you got a large family. There's lots of kids already.
Yeah.
I don't need to contribute.
It's tough too with as apocalyptic as everything seems all the time.
Right.
It's hard to want to bring anybody else into that. For me, is that it almost seems mean.
Yeah.
To bring somebody into my life, like nobody deserves that. I know that I got my dad's genes in me, and I don't want to do that to anybody else either. I know what I went through, and I know I'd do it again. I'd perpetuate that cycle for sure.
We're unpacking all the skeletons tonight, folks.
Absolutely. Oh, no, this ain't no skeleton. Anybody that knows that, like, there's difficult relationships there.
Well, I just did an interview with a gentleman from CASA, and it's Child Advocacy something or other. I can put it in the show notes. I can't remember the full name. But basically what they do is they go out and they help families that have been, I guess, indicted with child abuse charges.
Yeah.
And they are there to represent the child and to make sure that the family gets put together whole.
That's beautiful.
At the end of it. But the point, or the connection to what we're talking about here is that there are so many children that end up in foster care and I have a friend actually that's been a foster parent or I can't remember the term for it, but him and his wife have brought in children and taken care of them until they were placed into an actual adoption situation, a foster home, I guess is what it is. And I can't think of any better way to help society than to do something like that. So for people that are holdouts, and maybe they wait too long and the biological clock goes away.
It ain't too late to help.
Never too late to help. You could be well into your 50s and still be a foster parent.
For sure.
Or, foster parent.
Well, I've thought about that often. Is like if we did ever decide that we changed our minds, we can adopt. The bloodline doesn't got to continue.
Right.
My sister's got kids. They can do it.
We're good.
Yeah, we're fine.
Well, Clayton, move us into the music a little more. We made
right,
it to
keep
track
going.
6.
Track 6, Dreams. That one's a bummer. God damn, these next couple are sad.
So we went from angry to understanding it might be a little bit my fault. Now we're into Dreams.
Dreams is kind of just wallowing in that of everything's my fault. it was really me trying to. It's me and my friends are narcissistic and have delusions of grandeur a lot of times, where it seems like things are a little too coincidental to not be affected by our mindset.
I've been dreaming again, my dreams all come true. Why can't I dream about you? I keep lifting the pen and I'm writing your name, but each night the visions don't change. I just stare at the ceiling, a terrible feeling that I've been as far as I would get.
And that song kind of spawned from that concept of there are too many coincidences happening, where it'd be like we're talking about something and be like, that's funny, it would be really crazy if that happened, and then it keeps happening, and then Dreams kind of went into that of that's the opening line is, I've been dreaming again and all my dreams come true, why can't I dream about you? And like trying to get into that of if my thoughts do control reality, then why can't I control the thoughts? I know it's weird,
but that makes sense. It's actually a pretty poetic line there. I like it.
I got when I lived in Kansas City, I lived with this couple, Matt and Melissa Weinman. They're the weirdest people that I've ever met in my entire life. Like, they're so fucking crazy. I love them. I love them to death, and I would tell them to their face that they're batshit. But
Sounds like they probably know.
they know. They're very
They
aware.
embrace it.
But they really got me into trying to tap into some of that more spectral, lyrical concepts of trying to get out of the same she left me and I'm sad that I've been into in my life. And like that song still digs really deep into the she left me and I'm sad, but tries to touch on some more crazy ideas in the middle of it.
And what took you up there?
What took me up where?
Kentucky, right?
Kansas City.
Excuse me. Kansas City.
No, it's all good.
What took you up
Starts
to
with K.
Kansas? What took you up to Kansas City?
I had some friends in a band, Good Time Charlie, that were recording a record. They'd asked if I'd come play some stuff on it. I did, and then I loved it. Like, I just love Kansas City. It's a beautiful place, and just didn't leave. Just hung out for several years.
I'm trying to remember the name of the one time I've been to Kansas was a very small airfield on the way to Colorado Springs. And I mean, it is in the middle of nowhere.
I believe it. There's a lot of nowhere in Kansas.
We were, me and my buddy Grant were taking a little Cessna from Parker County airfield.
Sounds fun.
Little bitty
Yeah.
airport. And we took it from there. We went up to Kansas. And I've got a picture somewhere of us standing in front of the little one terminal, the airport terminal. And it's got the name of the airport there. Maybe I can dig that up. But we stopped off there, and I mean, dude, in every direction, just nothingness. And the only reason we stopped is because I got on the microphone with Grant, and I said, dude, when are you stopping for fuel? And he was like, I think we can make it. And I was like,
nah, dude.
You might have enough fuel, but I ain't got enough room in
dude.
my bladder. We're going to have to put this thing down. He's like, oh, shit, man. You should have said something. So
I don't play with I think in an airplane either.
Well, I was riding with a real cowboy.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. He's very thorough. And if he thought we could make it that day,
Sure.
he was right.
Sure.
But anyway, we stopped there in Kansas. That was my one experience. And I just remember the girl that was at the, I think they call it an FSO. We walked in there to get a little fuel, and she was just the nicest human being I've ever met in my life. She probably wasn't a day over 25. She was a young girl, but very, very sweet. And that's it. That's all I know about Kansas.
Fascinated. I wish we figure out where that was. I grew up in
I'll dig it up.
Panhandle.
I'll dig it up, or I'll call Grant.
Cool. Perfect. Yeah, I grew up North Amarillo, and
What's there? I thought
a lot of nothing.
Texas just turns into a black hole after Amarillo.
It is
right?
quite a black hole. I grew up in a town called Spearman, Texas.
And just cows running wild. There's no fences anywhere.
It is quite a lot like that. I think when I was in high school, there were 1,500, 2,000 people, and it's gone down since.
Damn,
there's
that
not
is
much
small.
out there. Yeah, it's a tiny town, and but with it being out there in the middle of nowhere, it was about 40 miles from the Oklahoma border, and it's just right there in the Oklahoma Panhandle. It isn't much either.
Little strip, yeah.
So a lot of
How many miles is that?
The Oklahoma Panhandle.
That little strip.
I have
Kansas.
no idea.
Can't be.
Let's look it up. Actually,
Can't be more than like 80
interested.
miles.
No, it's not much. That's what I was saying. Is a lot of our I was on the swim team in high school, and we would do a lot of.
Michael Phelps shit.
No, I wasn't that good. I wish, man.
You wear the Speedo? Did you shave your legs?
I didn't shave my legs. We had little compression shorts. We had the Speedos whenever we were younger, but with it being like small town Texas,
right,
is
better not shave your legs.
The boys weren't too big on it. Was
right.
Oh, it looks like it's like 30 miles.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. So we would often do like swim meets and football games and all kinds of shit with small towns in both Oklahoma Panhandle and like southwestern Kansas. I'm very familiar with the area. I've spent so much time out there.
Yeah.
And in Kansas City, it's funny that we got into Kansas because I lived in Kansas City, Missouri, and there's such dicks about the Missouri-Kansas thing.
Like, hey man, I didn't name your
so
city.
mean about it. Yeah, no, it's hilarious. There's been I've been to a few shows out there with like larger touring acts. I don't remember what the last one was, but
they're like, meet Clayton. He's from Kansas City.
Oh no! I'm talking about in Kansas City.
Oh.
Like going to see shows, and people will be like, "Oh, it's so good to be in Kansas." And if you're on the Missouri side, they'll straight up boo, like they hate it. They're so mean.
People are weird, man.
I get it. It's like it is a beautiful town, and I understand. Like I've made jokes about Kansas City is the only city I've been to in America where like the general population dressed like tourists. Everywhere you walk, they've all got Kansas City hats on or Kansas City shirts. It just says KC. Like they're often sports branded, but they're often not too. It's like there's so many of them. They're just like, I live in Kansas City and I love it. And I guess that's part of what drew me to it. Coming from Texas is like people are like that down here about the whole state. You know what I mean? It's much more of a state pride thing, but Kansas City, it's so localized where they're just like, we're from Kansas City and you need to know it.
Yeah.
I love it. Nick, my friend I was talking about earlier, Rye Boys, he works with me too, and we travel the country. Like we go everywhere for work. I'm always saying the wrong thing, just constantly putting my foot in my mouth everywhere we go. And he's much more charismatic than I am, much more charming, so he gets us out of all these situations all the fucking time. With strangers, it's so funny to me. Is with strangers, typically speaking, he's much more diplomatic and able to handle these types of situations. And then in our personal lives, is like all of our friends and family, they just let me say or do whatever the fuck I want to all the time. And then they're like, "Oh, you're so funny." And anytime Nick says anything, they're like, "You're the worst person that I've ever met."
It's like a role reversal.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Often they're the same things. Like we got the same brain, you know. is we have the same thoughts and ideas a lot of the time and same comments. But if I say them, our friends like them. If he says them, they don't. And I love it. Personally, like, it works really well for me.
I was apologizing my ass off this week to somebody saying, like, hey, man, I hope I didn't piss you guys off because I just missed the social cues.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not
my thing.
I have trouble with that.
I'm thinking about other shit, dog.
I promise you,
Yeah.
I mean good things. I want positive vibes, but sometimes I just say crazy shit.
For sure.
I was.
Do you mind if I get another beer,
I'm going to get you another beer right now. Let me finish this thought,
Yeah.
though. I got invited to the Jerry Jonestown Massacre podcast.
Nice.
Have you ever heard of that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, excellent. And it is, by many, many different measures, the largest podcast in North Texas.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting with this dude, and we're talking about missing social cues, right? Saying wrong shit at the wrong time and not meaning what you said, or having it interpreted differently. Well, this guy is complimenting me on the show. He's telling me, I like Fort Worth Roots. It's very structured, and I have a lot of appreciation for that. And I said, yeah, man, but I like y'all's bullshit.
Right.
I love the bullshit that y'all got going on. And to me, I was trying
You're giving them a compliment, but they didn't hear it.
Compliment.
Yeah, for sure. I'm terrible about it, man.
The good thing was, the saving grace is my buddies from the Funky Panther were sitting in the same room with me, recording with us.
Mm-hmm.
And Chad, he gets on the mic and he goes, Andrew meant that as a compliment. And I was so fucking glad that he said that, because it did two things. One, it corrected everything, right? But the second thing was, yo, bro, you missed that social cue.
Right.
So, anyway, shout out, Chad. Thanks for saving my ass.
Yeah, homies are good.
It's got an address.
And it kind of looks like a house.
Yeah, it's a weird setup, man. This used to be a daycare for like a decade.
Cool.
Isn't that weird to think about? Like,
I
don't know.
see it.
It trips me
I
out.
totally see it.
But it's been a lot of things before and after that, and now, I kind of walked you around the studio and showed you my idea for things, but I'm trying to keep it very vague because I want to bring in artists like yourself and go, hey, what can we do with this?
For sure.
And I want to occupy the smallest amount of space. I want to just this right here, and I'm gonna deck it out and do shit with it. And I've had other recording situations in the past, and I feel like this one is the most lacking out of all of them for some reason. But I think it's just because it doesn't feel like home yet. You're actually the first person I've recorded with here.
Oh, nice.
So
breaking it in.
Cheers. First guess.
To me, I don't know. The space and the gear and shit like that really matters to me as much as the content. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
You're putting out good shit. It doesn't matter.
There's a place called Orb Recording Studios. And Matt Noveski, the bassist for Blue October, and he's got his own band, Icarus Bell. He invited me to his studio, and I walked into this place, and from the outside, it doesn't look like shit. It just looks like a typical, I don't know, office building.
Right.
You walk into the doors, and immediately you're just like, this is special.
Right.
I don't know what it is. I can't quantify it. I can't explain it. But there is something warm about those walls.
Hell yeah.
And because of that, I got kind of obsessed with studio spaces. And eventually, I would like this to feel like that. And
it could very easily be built into something nice.
The way I've got it set up right now, I think this, actually, the area that we're in, should just be a lounge.
Yeah.
And there should be some cool shit, and a lot of chairs, and some couches. That's what this space really needs to be. But
what you ought to do is build a little booth in there somewhere. You're talking about moving all the recording shit in there. You build a little booth off the side, and then once you're making money, you can hire me to come record the board for you.
There you go. There you go.
That's my day-to-day. That's my bread and butter, baby.
That's the producer, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the producer position?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm trying to learn these terms and stuff, but yeah, I think it'd be cool to have somebody on the side doing the Joe Rogan Jamie thing, right?
Sure.
Isn't that kind of the spot?
Yeah, absolutely. You I listen to a lot of Comedy Bang Bang. I don't know if you fuck with that at all. It's stupid. It's quite stupid, but their producers quite often pipe in. It's so funny. I like the
Side commentary.
yeah. I don't know. I like the environment that the podcast structures seem to build. It feels significantly different than like radio shows.
There's something special about it, right?
Yeah, it's
I mean,
something
it's not. No, nobody's calling the shots.
No, it feels
The-
a little
the
bit more
creator,
personal and a little bit more homey, you know?
Yeah. The creator gets to have full control of the show rather than a team of people telling them how to do shit, call the shots, whatever.
For sure. Which, like,
More authentic.
I'm a sucker for sports radio. I'm a ticket guy.
A lot of
But-
people in here are going to appreciate that.
Yeah, I get stuck.
Yeah.
But-
I've just never been big on sports, but
Yeah.
even not giving a shit about sports, I can still listen to the ticket and enjoy it. So
Yeah, they're wildly entertaining, and that
Yeah.
helps. I'm also like,
God, has that been going for 30 years? I mean, that's
Something
been
like
around
that,
forever.
yeah, it's been a long time.
We grew up with that.
I didn't move to Fort Worth until probably the first time I lived here was in 2009. No, maybe 2010,
So you just got here.
somewhere around there. And then I left for a few years and came back 3 or 4 years ago. I moved back to Kansas City, or moved back to Fort Worth in February 2020.
Oh,
Yeah,
not
no,
a good
it was
time.
Not a good time. It was like at the time I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like all my friends that like I grew up with playing shows with. It's like even living up north, we came to Dallas and played shows, and came to Fort Worth and played shows all the time. So like I know a lot of people around here. It seemed like whenever I moved back, all those friends were really starting to pop off, and like things were going well for everybody. And I was like, this is great. Like my family is like finally starting to be appreciated. I can enjoy that. And then not a month after we moved into that house, everything shut down. That put everything at a standstill. This was like, I was really looking forward to coming back and like making a big show. It's like, hell yeah, I'm back in town, bitches, and kicking in the door, and that didn't happen.
Well,
Things never go the way you want them to.
For you and everybody else in the music industry, man, it was a bitch.
It was rough. It required a lot of reevaluation on my part, as I've lived my entire adult life like working side gig every once in a while, mostly just trying to make money off of playing shows and being a shitbag.
Does that pay well?
No,
Sign
but
me
it's
up.
fun. It doesn't pay well at all, but it is a lot of fun. I moved back here, and when everything shut down, it'd been a couple months before that I'd been working with the boys doing the focus group stuff.
For the hotels. And
Yeah, we work for lawyers and stuff like that mostly.
oh, okay.
It's super boring. but-
All the audio shit.
Yeah,
Cat
we
5
run-
cables everywhere.
Oh yeah, we're running things on Dante now, which I've had to learn networking and all that shit. Running a bunch of PTZ cameras. It's a hell of a setup, but
Maybe when I'm ready to start doing a live presentation for
You
the,
should definitely
for the
talk to
podcast. Okay.
we'll.
I've
help
got
you
an
out.
in.
Yeah, for sure.
We're good.
It helps too. Is like it's just my friends that are involved. Like Laura, the lady that owns the company that we work for specifically, she has just hired all of my friends. Like it's all Rye Boys.
Nice.
Yeah, it's all
all
Rye
30
Boys.
or 40 of them?
Not all 30 and 40 of us. I think there's 7 or 8 of us
Nice.
that have been working for her. But it's great. Is anytime I go out, like I'm just hanging out with my friends, driving around, hanging out with my friends. It makes the monotony of all the rest of it so inconsequential. Don't care about any of it. It's like get to hang out with my friends. Like whenever we're done here, we get to go to the bar, and it's gonna be great. We went.
You're making it not sound like work, dude.
Yeah, we get in trouble
Be careful.
for it a lot.
She might listen. You know.
And she's going to.
Why
and,
am I paying you?
Our partners all get pretty frustrated with this. I think about it too. It's too much fun, and everybody hates their jobs, and we don't. And I think that people don't like that. People don't like hearing. People don't like hearing like, oh yeah, like I love my job, but I do.
No, I think you're right, man. People don't like somebody else that's got it better than they do.
Yeah.
Let's dive back into music for a minute. What do we make it to? Track 7?
I think so. We did Dreams. Yeah, 7. Man, it gets darker.
Let's go. Let's do this.
7 is How Do You Deal, and it is about your friends. It's not about any specific friend. I've lost a lot of friends to addiction, a lot of friends to specifically heroin, and that's what that song is all about, is trying to come to terms with, you got your friends where you talk to them every once in a while, something seems off, but you ignore it, and you're like, they're fine, everything's fine. And like, I don't know if it's out of selfishness or if it's out of ignorance or
Complacency, maybe?
yeah, just like not wanting to stir the pot.
I don't wanna feel. I don't wanna care. I just called you last week. You didn't sound so bad. You're living it up in Lincoln. You said you're gonna be a dad.
But you don't do anything about it, and then it gets worse. And a lot of them, like I've had too many friends die. That's specifically what that song is about, is trying to figure out how to cope with that. How do you live with yourself knowing that you could have done something and you didn't.
At the end of the day, there's only so much you can do, right?
For sure.
And talking to Dustin over at Jerry Jonestown Massacre, he was just talking about how there's still, right now here in this area, there's and I would have never known this had I not talked to him, but a large issue with the cocaine being cut with fentanyl.
Fentanyl,
And
yeah.
it is dropping musicians left and right.
like crazy.
Local musicians.
For
I'm
sure.
not talking about national celebrities.
Absolutely.
Our friends right here in North Texas.
Joe Savage, that's it.
He's actually still alive. I just talked to him.
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't saying he's dead. I was saying I saw him a couple of years. It might have been last year, the year before. He wrote an essay about.
Is it the Journal?
Yeah, and it was something
El
about
Camino Journal?
cocaine and dealing with the. It's not even pressure. Like, pressure isn't the right word. He goes into it a lot more eloquently than I will. But
I'll get with Joe, see if I can
yeah, talk to him about it.
find a link for the story you're talking about.
He goes pretty in depth about the struggles of just, it's everywhere. Whenever you're playing music, everybody's got cocaine all the time, and it seems so casual and it seems so easy, and you don't see the other side of that, of them being at home, especially with this fentanyl issue that's been going on. Is people don't think about it. They don't like. They don't ever question where it's coming from. They don't ever question what's in it. They're just like, oh yeah, whatever. I'll take some cocaine.
It's like Tylenol.
For sure. is quite unfortunate. Yeah, that's also right in there with my friends are dying from drugs, and it sucks.
Is that one of the tracks?
Yeah, that's How Do You Deal? That's number 7.
7.
I think. We're almost there. We're almost done. Yeah, I could go on about it for hours, but
Yeah.
I'm tired of losing my friends.
So what's the social solution? I mean, that's a pretty shitty question to ask. I mean, this is obviously important to you, but what can we do? I mean,
that's the whole song is posing that question, you know, is it isn't there. I don't, in the context of the album, I don't come to a significant conclusion at all. It very much ends with a help, somebody tell me.
Yeah.
I wish I knew. I have struggled with trying to find the balance between helpful and enabling. In some cases I feel like I've got it. In some cases I very much fucked it up. I think that the best you can do is just be there for people. Let people know they're loved. Let people know that they got people in their corner.
There's a lot of proponents on the side of we should legalize all the drugs so that it can
I'm
be
all for it.
Regulated.
Absolutely.
Do you think that with what you're talking about, if cocaine, since we're talking about that, was legalized and therefore regulated and controlled, do you think that you would have lost friends still to cocaine?
Yeah, but I think it would be significantly lessened. I mean, like, there's not, regardless of legalization or not, there are some people that just have that in them of needing more.
They're going to abuse it no matter what.
They're going to abuse it no matter what.
Whether it's legal or
whether it's legal or not,
they're still going to get it.
Yeah, it has no weight on it. The benefits of legalization there to me is at least you know what it is.
Right.
That seems pretty huge. I know that there have been great successes in other countries with, at the very least, decriminalization, if not full-on legalization of just giving people, making it not so shady to where if people need to ask for help, they can do it without feeling like they're going to be in prison for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
As I know,
like, I went too far, I need help.
You know, it's got to be so scary.
Yeah.
To be at the point in your life where you're like, I can't get out of it. I'm sick anytime that I wake up and I don't have drugs. Like, if I don't have my heroin, then I'm sick and I can't get out of that. And to be so scared of asking for help because of the combination of social stigma and legal ramifications, like, what do you do there?
Yeah. Takes away some options.
Yeah, especially is like at that point, like there's plenty of people dealing with addictions that have got money, but most people I know don't have money, and they don't have the option to go off to some rehab center in New Mexico. And
beautiful New Mexico.
Yeah,
sitting on top of a golf course.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's a lot easier to not do drugs whenever I have someone bringing me sparkling water every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the people that I know don't have these luxuries.
I feel good right now, but don't make me go back to that office with Bob and Roger.
Yeah, like,
I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the solution. I am strongly in favor of decriminalization and legalization of
I think the beautiful idea of making something illegal is that it's going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not.
It doesn't work that way.
That's not the way it works.
It really just doesn't work that way, and it's struggle that, I mean, like, we can get into it. You can delete it if you want to.
Nah, we're good.
But I feel like it runs along the same concepts as the guns issues. People are on one side saying we gotta outlaw guns, people on the other side saying that everybody needs guns, and like at this point I feel like the same way as drugs is like the guns ain't going anywhere, regardless of whether it was a good idea in the first place to have guns and to build arsenals of the level that we have. It doesn't fucking matter. We blew it. You know, like they're everywhere. And
man, I swing hard for the fences trying to keep this show away from politics. But,
I get it.
But you're right. And also, I think lately the issue, for me anyway, I mean, I don't like the fact that anybody is hurting anybody in any capacity.
Right.
But the thing that drives me nuts is losing children in our schools.
For sure.
And the real shit of it is people are so fucking busy arguing on who is right and who is wrong, guns or no guns, that we lose sight of the idea that what we want is our children to be safe. And so the sensical question needs to be asked. If we can keep guns out of banks, airports, federal buildings,
why not schools?
It just doesn't make sense. And it's bullshit.
I agree completely.
It's bullshit that people are so wrapped around, I'm a Republican or
Sure.
I'm a Democrat, that we can't just say, why don't we lock these things down, put steel around them, put armies in front of them, put checkpoints at every fucking door, whatever you got to do. I don't give a shit what it is.
Agreed.
I don't care how crazy it sounds.
It seems like it should be the highest priority.
We need to take care of our kids.
For sure.
And it's actually, if you had a Sally Port, which most of the schools here in North Texas do, you walk through one door, you got to have access to that door.
For sure.
If somebody is not there manning the door, that door is magnetically sealed. You cannot get through it. If you're an outsider, you got to press a button. And somebody comes on the intercom and they say, what can I do for you? If you don't have a legitimate reason to be there, you're not getting past door 1.
Right.
If you do have a legitimate reason to be there, you can go past door 1. But there is still door 3 in the way. Now you can go into door 2. That's administration.
Sure.
And those people can help you with whatever you need. And then you can go right back out door 1. But nobody is getting past door 3. Unless you need to go see a kid. What's your reason? There's
Right.
not one. Now, you take somebody and you stick them in that Sally Port. They are standing right in the middle of 1, 2, and 3. And if they've got any kind of harm or intent to harm in their heart, then this person, this dedicated individual who knows he's protecting the lives of everybody in that school, can stop anybody.
I mean, like,
That's it.
make it as simple as a passcode.
No,
You
no
know?
passcode. I want rusty veteran. I want
no,
a
I'm talking
retired
about as far as-
Vietnam rusty veteran right
As
there in
far
that
as
Sally Port.
for the veteran being able to open the door.
Oh, sure.
It's like, don't even give them a card. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. That can
it's
be
a
stolen.
passcode.
Right. Now we're getting to like Mission Impossible territory. We're
Oh, yeah,
considering
sure.
other factors.
Yeah, you know, you got the wheel spinning now.
Right. But, I mean, we already have this in North Texas. Most of these schools have these Sally Port systems already set up. And we also have campus police officers. And they're great. And they do a wonderful job.
The high school I went to in the
Let's
Panhandle
capitalize on that.
was built in the midst of Cold War paranoia. So it's a straight up bomb shelter, like this windowless, like it is
Nice.
a fortress. And
I love it.
it's like, I don't understand.
Protect our kids.
Yeah, for sure. And like at the time I thought, this is overboard. This is crazy. Like, y'all are doing too much.
Yeah.
Looking at it now, I'm like,
Eh.
this is the right idea, huh?
They're talking about nuclear bombs in New York. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
sure.
For sure.
Well, at very least, we need to get past our political talking points, and that's the reason I try to keep the bullshit out of Fort Worth Roots, because so many people have chosen to identify, they have chosen to wrap their personal identity around these politics. I don't want to touch it. The
And I
real
got
issue is we need to protect our kids, and
I
it's
got
very
a
simple.
song for you, man.
Is it on the list?
It's not on the list.
Tell me about
This
it.
is a
Tell
whole
me about
different
it.
one. Man, it's been such a struggle.
Is it done?
It's done as fuck. It's
Clayton, I love you, man.
I love you too much. The whole concept of the song is the narrator in this song is intentionally hyperbolic and kind of gross. And I was hoping that I'd gone over the top enough with it that people could understand that it's specifically the rhetoric and the way that people are talking to each other is disgusting.
Everyone I know has got a different idea on how we ought to live. Ask a whole lot of them if we agree. I bet you get 8 or 9 out of 10. But what should we do with them other two? Hey man, I'm on the side of the loudest. Maybe we murder 'em or maybe we don't. I just ain't never been much for forgiveness. If they weren't so terrible, they'd know that we're right. They just weren't so goddamn oblivious. I'm boiling with hate, yeah, it's made me go numb. I'm gonna burst if I don't see some blood.
And the idea that just because somebody disagrees with you makes them a bad person is insane.
Absolutely.
That's a terrible, terrible way to live your life.
Well, it's a bad way to have a conversation as well.
Yeah, it's and what I've been trying to explain so much is like all my friends are fucking communists. And what I've been trying to get across is just because you're good, but just because somebody disagrees with you doesn't mean that you can't have a conversation with them. It doesn't mean that you can't find a way to bridge these gaps.
And it doesn't make him a bad person.
It doesn't make him a bad person. And if these political beliefs that you have are so strong that you feel like it's the most important thing in your life, then even at that point, just yelling at people and telling them that they're stupid isn't going to change anybody's mind. That's not going to help.
Yeah.
Like, having an actual connection with somebody and, like, trying to hear how they got to their conclusions is incredibly important. You can't make any progress, you can't get anywhere without everybody being on the same page. Anything past that, like, as the most elite left coast liberal and the most hillbilly redneck conservative fuck, like, either one of them have just as much agency and just as much right to their belief as anyone else. And it's important. Like, that's what our entire country is founded on, is this concept of it's us. It's not any individual's idea. It's us. And we lost it. We lost it completely. And it drives me insane.
It's weird to watch, right? I mean,
yeah, it
you
hurts.
sound like somebody that reflects on history. If you take note of the difficulties we've had as a human species, it makes the current era seem like fucking madness. And if you've ever seen the movie Idiocracy,
for sure,
it seems like we all want Brawndo for our plants, for our dogs, for our faces. We shower in it, you know, and we go to the doctor, and he doesn't know which tube to stick in our butt and one in our mouth.
Right.
And he doesn't. That's where we're at. It's crazy. Yeah, the bottom line is we need to be able to have a discussion without you losing your mind because you heard something on The View.
For sure.
Or Bill O'Reilly's not still relevant, but
No.
Fox News or whatever talking point.
I think we're on to, what's his name? Tucker Carlson's the dude now.
Tucker Carlson, is he? Oh yeah, he
He's
is
the
Fox News,
guy
right?
now. Yeah,
See,
they're all the same.
I'm
to
out
me.
of the Fox News loop.
Yeah, they're all the same.
The last news publication or production I ever subscribed to was Robin Meade in the Morning. Did you ever see that?
No idea what that is.
Oh my God! 5 feet of just absolute beauty. She
Nice.
was the smartest, most beautiful woman I've ever, and I can't remember what the political leaning was, but I
Yeah.
want to say it was right of central.
Right.
And she was a bombshell. She was so awesome. I don't think she's still on the air, but
Yeah.
God bless America. A bald eagle cried every time that show started. She was the shit.
I try
And that was it. That was 2007.
Oh yeah, that's a hot
So-
minute.
I watched it every morning at work.
I try and stay fairly informed, but I watch all of it. Like,
Still?
okay, like not so much.
I can't
After
take it, man. They don't report news.
After the
Here we are. Now this is the Fort Worth Roots political segment. Bum, 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 bum.
I don't know. I got too deep in it for a little bit to where like it was obsessive, so I've kind of laid off. But for a while there, I was just very much like trying to find as many sources as I possibly could of like trying to see the angle from every side.
Yeah.
As like at some point I felt like I could come to a logical conclusion of what's actually happening, and it turns out it just confused me.
Well, the thing is, and this is what really sewed it up for me. When I came back from my first deployment, this was 07.
What branch did you serve in?
Army. So this was 07, probably about the same time I was watching Robin Meade in the morning. But the headline for like a solid month right after we came back, and it was a hairy deployment. When we came back, everybody was talking about Britney Spears shaving her head. And I saw a pie chart somewhere, and it will stick with me until the day they put me in the ground. 98% of the media was covering either Britney Spears shaving her head or gas prices, right? The other 2% was news. And somewhere in that tiny
Still
little
exactly
sliver,
the same.
that 2% was what we were doing overseas. Now, the whole time we were there in Iraq, we thought we were doing something important.
Right.
And then you come home and you see the first clip
Yeah.
of Britney Spears shaving her head,
Yeah.
and you're just like, and
I was-
that right there was what cut me out.
I was about 10 minutes from being in the Army myself.
Well, I'm glad you didn't, dude.
Yeah, me too.
It would have changed your world in a weird way. You would have liked alcohol a lot more.
My
I promise.
my ASVAB scores were stupid. Like, they were too high, and they were trying to get me into the...
Like, too high, sir. You're too smart. Get out of here.
They were trying to put me in intelligence and, like...
Come back when we have the Space Force.
specifically interrogation type shit.
Yeah.
And, like, it was the day. They took me to that big...
Dallas MEPS
yeah, the
station.
Dallas
Yeah.
soldier factory that they got over there. And
Right across from the JFK Museum.
yeah, the same one. Yeah, I was in there all day, did my physical, did the whole dance,
Walk like a duck.
and yep,
Yeah.
and it was they had the swearing in, and I was playing around on my phone, and it was the day that had come out the whole waterboarding thing. They were calling it an advanced interrogation technique where they'd put a towel over somebody's face and simulate drowning.
Oh, yeah. There was this whole thing, whether it was okay or not.
It
yeah.
came out the day that I was supposed to go swear in, and I said, fuck no, I'm not going to go drown anybody, I'm out. And I walked out the door, and I never went back. But, yeah, I was literally 10, 15 minutes away from swearing into the Army.
How old were you?
19, 20.
19?
Yeah.
20?
Right at that age where they can get you.
Yeah, for sure. They got me. I was 20 when I clocked in.
Yep. I think about back on it too. My sister's husband he was a lieutenant in the Air Force. I think he's retired now. But as I was going through this whole process, he called me a couple times and was like, "Are you sure? Sure?"
Yeah.
I was like, "I think this is what I want to do." And he's like, "Are you sure about that? I know you, bud, and I don't know if this is you." And I look back on it now, and I'm like, oh, he was just trying to tell me no, but he was being nice.
Well, to anybody listening to this, every single person that knew me very personally told me that it was not going to be a good idea because I could not listen to orders. I did not like doing what other people told me to do.
Yeah.
Hot take, that's everybody at that age.
Yep.
Now, they whipped my ass into shape, and I turned it into a 3-year career, and then did a little bit of time in the reserves. I made it to the very prestigious title of V5, so not all bad, and everybody can do it.
I have several friends that have the military has been a great experience and a great leg up on life for a lot of people. It can change your life for the better or the worse. It's tough, as I struggle with feeling sometimes like it's a little bit manipulation of children. As I look back on when I was 19 years old, I was a kid, dude.
Right.
Like, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
No, it's disgusting. It really is.
I struggle a lot with that. And then I see the good things it's done for people, and I see the bad things it's done for people, and it's the same as everything else. It's complicated.
Maybe you can agree with me on this, maybe you can't. But what I noticed from the people I was around in the military, because I got people all the time that say stupid shit like, well, he was in the military, he must be a good guy.
Yeah,
it's not true.
Nonsense.
Because I think being put inside that pressure cooker of accountability and integrity or whatever, what it does is it boils you down and it brings out your best or worst attributes.
Right. It shows you who you are.
So we had plenty of people. You know, they made it to, E5, E6, E7. Maybe they made it all the way to Sergeant Major. Weren't necessarily good people.
Yep.
So my point is, if you go in there and you're a good person, it's going to do good things for you.
For sure.
If you go in there and you decide that you're going to be your own person and you're not going to try to learn anything or embrace the fundamentals of what the military stands for, and when I say that, I'm not talking about what the government does with our military. I'm talking about what the military tries to do with the people that join.
Right.
Like it's a legitimate effort to better a human.
For sure. And it's
now after that, I don't know what happens, but
who knows?
Anyway, individual experiences may vary.
Yeah, absolutely. And what it really comes down to, I think, is your career path just doesn't have any weight on whether or not you're a good person or not.
No, it doesn't.
Be better.
Let's get back into the music.
We'll get back in the music. I'm
Clayton.
sorry, man.
No, Clayton. I love these rabbit trails. That's what we do. But it's my job to bring us back around.
Sure. I feel bad for you having to edit this shit.
No, it's what I do.
After that.
But I'm going to leave that in the recording for sure.
All right, that's fine. I got no problem with people hearing what I got to say. Friends is the next song, 8, and that's whenever we start coming back around to like not being so fucking sad.
I'll never be a rich man, but friends are worth more than a mortgage, even if the memories we have all fade. But I remember when your dog got sick. We took him to the all-night clinic. He didn't make it, but the world kept spinning. What a shame to have to keep on living, even knowing he's gone. We smoked cigarettes, wishing the cancer'd set and take our pain away. We survived that sleepless night, still standing here today. So I'm headed for the heartland.
Like it gets dark for a little bit there, and Friends starts to turn it around. It's very clearly, specifically about friendship and about the bonds you get from dealing with tough shit. is going through something with people brings you closer together often, and it's important to appreciate that. It's important to tell them, you know, like,
Best friends are the ones you pass time with while you're going through the shit.
For sure. And it's important to let them know. And it goes off at the end there. There's a whole thing about I got in trouble a little bit with it. There's the tail end of it goes into this we're never gonna die, we got the devil on our side bit. And my mom's cousin, very heavily involved in the church around this area, and mom had shown her the song, and she called her up and she was like, I just want to make sure Clayton's okay. He's talking about the devil. I think
Satan's got him.
He's in trouble. And the devil ain't real. It's like, that's the whole thing for me, it's not a literal thing in the slightest. It's poking fun. It is the devil's a metaphor for people telling you what to do.
This was your aunt or your cousin that was highly concerned?
I guess my second cousin, my mom's cousin.
Somewhere in there?
Yeah.
Family anyway?
Yeah. Yeah, she was a little concerned about it. And I'm okay. I promise I'm okay, if you're listening.
What's the next song?
The next song, that's the last one. It's I Remember, and that's what ties it all together. It's the one that's been going through. It started on the first song, continued on the fourth, and then on the last one, it brings in those two parts that you heard initially and ties it all into an actual song. And it really is mostly about when we were kids, we played music because we loved it and because it was fun. And there were often times, it's like, specifically with people that I hung around with, is we would spend hours, like it would be we'd stay up all night hanging out in backyards just playing Roger Miller songs, playing Merle Haggard, whatever you could think of, you know, like half the time you didn't even know the song. It was just like you're enjoying hanging out with your friends and you want to sing top of your lungs because like it feels good.
Yeah.
And
you're having fun. You're in the moment.
For sure. And as we get older, everything has become more structured and people have got their priorities of other things they got to do, and it's a constant, I got something tomorrow, can't, you know, something's coming up all the time. This whole song is kind of just begging, not just to other people but to myself as well, of like, try and live a little bit more spontaneously, try and love what you got while you got it.
I remember when we used to sing. I recall the joy it would bring when the nights they would last until morning would spring. I remember when we used to sing. There were times it wasn't so grim, when our voices would echo in sin. We would drown the emptiness we felt within, but I swear it wasn't so grim.
Live your life.
Yeah, and stop worrying about, you gotta go to work tomorrow, who fucking cares? Like, you can be tired from work one day. I've done it lots of times, and like, It sucks, but like it's one day. It's one day. Go to sleep the next day.
It's also dangerous.
Yeah,
but it's worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Nobody should take my advice, but I'm still asking you.
No, I do it too, man. I do it too. I'll have a function where I do not feel like I can. I just can't miss this event, or I can't miss this engagement. You know what I mean? And so I'll sacrifice some very deserved and needed sleep in order to do that. But yeah, I get what you're
bad
saying.
about sleep. I need to be better.
We all do.
Yeah.
I had a segue for that.
I just derail things. It's my whole vibe.
No, you did great this entire recording.
Thanks for talking to me, man.
I get the thing I wanted to. So similar to what you're talking about with how things change as we get older, the passage of time is also kind of running parallel with this. Whenever you're a child, you don't have a frame of reference. It's kind of like sitting on a boat and looking out at the ocean. There's nothing out there. You have no frame of reference. Whenever you're 1 year old, 2, 3, whenever you can kind of conceptualize things, time moves differently because you don't have anything to compare it to. I'm messing this up.
You're doing a great job, but
anyway,
you don't understand how much time you got and how much, like, when you're younger, it seems very much like time is infinite, and like there's no end to it. And the older you get, you realize like there ain't that much. It's getting
stop.
Shorter. Yeah,
I see it now.
Shorter all the time. Yeah, it's every day. It's like today's gonna be the one, huh?
And we're in a race, right?
Yeah, for sure.
From infancy all the way up to I think age 25. We want to get to the next age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. When you're 14, you want to be 16 so you can get that driver's license.
Yeah.
When you're 16, you want to be, well, I guess 18's gone because used to 18 was when you could buy a pack of smokes.
Right.
And then 21 was, okay, now I can buy alcohol. And
I think you can still gamble at 18. I don't know. They don't let you do it in Texas.
Maybe. I don't know. And then 25 was the last good one because that's when your insurance was supposed to go down.
Right.
Right? And then after that, it's like, all right, what's next? Well, now you just get older.
You rich fuck. Talk about insurance over here.
So, right. Privileged. You got insurance?
Yeah.
On your car.
No,
loser.
I look forward to getting old. I think some days I don't. You know.
Yeah.
I certainly don't feel disadvantaged by my age at this point, and that feels good. I don't got anything that I feel like's holding me back with it. When you're young, you know, like you got those issues being younger, and then I feel like people get old and they're like, I'm too old to do anything anymore. And I don't feel any of that. That's pretty cool.
Well, the connection I was trying to make with the time relevance or whatever is that emotionally we go through something kind of similar. When we're children, it's easier for us to capture joy because we're not carrying as much guilt or humility or pain. And naturally, as you go through life, you accumulate these things. You start to kind of pack a bag full of this bullshit that you just carry with you.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I really appreciate what you're doing there. Your album is a message of understanding. I don't think that intentionally you didn't arrive at any conclusions in your album, but the most important thing to me I found with music, I seem to really latch on to music whenever I'm going through some hard shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
like,
sure.
I mean, very powerful connection to music whenever I need it. I find it whenever I'm struggling. And at any rate, the connection I feel to music is amplified whenever I'm struggling.
Absolutely.
And this album is, it seems to me, from an outsider's perspective, and after you've described it, is just kind of talking about the struggle of being a human, being a person, and just trying to get through the shit
That's certainly
on
the
many
intent.
different levels.
It's tough. Everybody's got a tough day. Think about that. You know what I mean? Like, it's very important to consider that anybody's being a dick to you. If you coming across, it's like somebody cuts you off at the stop sign or whatever. It's entirely possible that their mom just died. You know, like,
Yeah.
who knows what people are going through, and just try and consider the weight of your own existence and how tough that's been, because I know that regardless of who you are, it's been tough. Like, being alive is hard. It's fucking hard, and try and consider that it's just as hard for everybody else.
Yeah. Amen. Everybody that's, we're all in the same social climate. We're all
sure.
feeling that same pressure of bullshit. So try not to freak out. If that guy cuts you off or flips you the bird.
Mm-hmm.
He might have just found his boss sleeping with his girlfriend.
It's entirely possible.
Clayton, where can people find your, are you pretty active on social media or?
I just started Twitter a few days ago. I've been
What's your
enjoying the hell out of that.
Tweeter
Let's
handle?
figure that out.
Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
And while you're looking that up, Clayton Smith's new album, what's the name of it?
Stranger.
That is yours. That is not
It's
the
me.
Rye Boys. That's not Band Laredo.
I wrote, performed, recorded, mixed, mastered, the whole damn thing. Every last bit of it, I did it.
That's incredible.
I hate to,
That's
like,
awesome.
I'm proud of it. You know,
You
like,
should be.
I'm
That's
proud that I did that
Because
shit.
I've listened to it and it's
And,
good. You
like,
mixed it well. It sounds very well recorded.
It's tough with some of it. Is like a lot of the reason I did it myself is it's pretty strongly modeled after Redheaded Stranger and a lot of those mid 70s country recordings that I love so much. Like, I'm a huge John Prine, Jerry Jeff Walker, Guy Clark. That whole era is pretty big for me as far as country music itself is concerned. And I was trying to make something that had that vibe of the situation that I pictured, I guess, is your dad just died, you're going through his shit, and you come across this tape, and you're like, I always hated his music. I guess I should give it a shot, though. Like, see what's on here. And then for a minute, you're like, yeah, it's kind of cheesy. And then next thing you know, you're crying on the living room floor, and your wife walks in. She's like, what the hell's going on here? And you're like, you just gotta listen. And you're both crying on the living room floor together and hugging and everything. You feel a little sad, but then you feel a lot better. And that was the intent, was to try and get that picture across. So it's like very intentionally kind of rough sounding,
yeah.
to try and get that vibe across. And that was a lot of reason that I recorded it myself. It's like asking a producer of any worth to do this is an insane question. Like, that would be so mean. Of like, can you make it sound worse, please? Like, will you make it sound just a little bit worse? I can't do that to somebody. So, like,
Well, I understand your intent, but the quality of what you have made is excellent. So this is Clayton Smith produced, Clayton Smith recorded at the Clayton Smith Recording Studio.
you know,
And
Clayton Rye Smith is the Twitter, and to be
RYE.
RYE. And to be completely honest, if you really want to follow any of it, just follow the Band Laredo, because Lucas and Aaron are in charge of all the social media stuff on that, and they're incredibly supportive. Anything that I do, they'll post. And you'll
So
be
is it the Band Laredo on Instagram?
the Band Laredo? It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook,
YouTube?
TikTok, Literally all of it. If you just look up the Band Laredo, you'll be able to find it.
Laredo.
I would be remiss not to mention it all. We've got an EP coming out quite soon with the Band Laredo. We're doing a CD release party at the Post on October 7th.
October 7th, okay.
And it's going to be awesome.
Make sure
it's going to be so much fun.
When you post about it, tag Fort Worth Roots in it, and I'll make sure it gets to the page.
They're doing such a good job. Like, I'm so proud of these boys. They're working hard. I'm quite useless at promotion and like social media and that whole bit. Is I'm a music guy. I like playing the music, and I like
most musicians.
The creative side of all of it. Like that's my wheelhouse, and I'm fortunate to be surrounded by these boys that like not only have that creative side in them, but are actually capable of helping us turn this into a little bit more of a business.
Well, if anybody else from the Band Laredo wants to be on the Fort Worth Roots, let me know.
Yeah, I'll talk to them. They do. Up. We'll have fun.
For sure.
You'd love Lucas. He's the best.
Can't wait to meet Lucas.
He's awesome.
Well, Clayton, thank you for being on the Fort Worth Roots podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And, anything y'all need to promote, let me know, and we'll be happy to share it with our people.
Awesome. I greatly appreciate it.
Fort Worth Roots, thank y'all for listening, and we will see you next week. Huge thank you to our new friend Clayton Smith for being on the Fort Worth Roots podcast. Please come back. Please come back. Bring your friends from the Band Laredo, and let's do it again. And I think everybody that just listened to the last hour of this recording will agree with me. I got to limit my beer intake. It sounded like the wheels were about to fall off right there towards the last 45 minutes or so. I was entertained by it, and I was kind of just telling on myself for getting drunk on the show. So hope y'all enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun with this episode. Clayton is an incredibly talented gentleman, but he's also a lot of fun, very sincere individual. These are the kind of people you want to hang out with. The Rye Boys and Band Laredo is where you can find Clayton Smith. On social media, he says, go to the Band Laredo, Facebook and Instagram, all that good stuff. You can find him on Twitter at Clayton Rye Smith. Clayton and then R-Y-E Smith. I'll put that in the show notes in case you, like me, have trouble spelling words. The Band Laredo will be at the Post October 7th for their CD release party. I'm going to try to make it out there. You should too. If you have not been to the Post yet, it is an incredible venue. We just did a recording with Avery Burke out there. She was nice enough to invite us out there to do a really, really quick recording right before she went up, and tried some food, tried some drinks, got to watch her perform. It's a really badass venue, so you should check it out. And I'll be there too, I believe. No promises yet. I'll tell you later if I can make it. We got a few days to plan for that. So again, that's October 7th, CD release party at the Post for the Band Laredo. All right, this episode came out late, and I do not like doing that. It is something I'm very adamant about, making sure that these consistently are available for you on the same day at the same time. And anyway, I'm sorry. Here's what happened. We had a really incredible weekend. I got to sit down with Dennis O'Neill, who is a very accomplished actor. The thing that you're going to be most impressed with right now, before I get a chance to tell you everything else he's done during our episode that we recorded out at Nexum Creative Studio. Nexum, yeah, with Paul Rogers. He was the stand-in and stunt double for Robin Williams. Pretty cool. He's got some cool stories. And we actually didn't talk much about that in that recording, but that's just excellent reason to get him back in the studio. He seemed pretty warm on that idea, so we're going to get Mr. Dennis O'Neill back in here for another recording at a later date. It's going to be good stuff. And he is filming a new show here in Fort Worth. It's a internet TV show, and it's going to be pretty cool. Tell you more about that later on. And we sat down with Sean Russell from the Cutthroat Finches. We did that recording over at the Isis Theater. That's the downtown Cowtown at the Isis Theater. Over there on Exchange and Main, kind of. That's not correct. There's another street that's closer than Exchange, but Main and something. Anyway, right there. If you're from the area, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up downtown Cowtown at the Isis. But anyway, great venue. If y'all haven't been in there to check that out yet, do. Jeffrey Smith would love to give you a tour of the place. It's got pictures on the wall of what that thing looked like, originally constructed, I believe, in 1914. And it has been through fires and floods and all sorts of crazy stuff. And it cost tens of millions of dollars to put this thing back together. It had been left alone since 1988, just sitting there, rotting. But one of the reasons that Sean Russell wanted to do the recording there is because I suggested it as a location, but he was excited when I did, because he'd done a music video with the Cutthroat Finches in that theater before it had been put back together. And Jeffrey Smith, the owner, literally had to get him to sign a waiver like, dude, it ain't safe to be in here. And it wasn't safe for anybody to be in there. But I need to look this thing up. He's supposed to send me a link to it, but we're going to add that to the episode, that music video he's talking about. So that'll be really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm getting off topic, but anyway, what I'm doing is apologizing right now. So we did that, and we also went to Friday on the Green, put on by Near Southside, I think Near Southside is the name of that organization down there that puts on these events. If I'm going to ask you to go out and support anything, it's going to be places like the ISIS Theater. It's going to be things like Near Southside, whenever they put on an event like this, because this is part of our creative community. And folks, if we don't support them, they will go away. They absolutely will disappear overnight. Near Southside, putting on this Friday on the Green thingamabob, has been gone for 2 years because of COVID. But it's back now. And I believe it got started back in 2007 is what people have been telling me. But we almost lost it forever. So anyway, aside from, I'm not going to try to use a big word here. Aside from just being a good person and doing things out of the kindness of your heart, it's a great time. It's a wonderful, wonderful time. We went out there Friday evening, and it's very secure. I had mentioned to somebody, not knowing exactly where we were talking about, they told me the QT over there, the QT down in that area, and I'm thinking, well, that QT is like the roughest QT. Is it safe? And it absolutely was. Lots of police presence there, and I don't think that was even necessary. But they do have it nice, clean, secure. It's a wonderful little spot. Great green space, surrounded by streets, and they had food trucks all around. And not just any food trucks, really, really good food trucks that are, I think most of them have brick and mortar locations. And they were also showing up just to kind of show off their foods, their delicious delicacies. We tried a cheese box from Funky Town Cheese Co. And they are not a sponsor, but they do have delicious cheeses. And I got to speak to the wonderful Rachel, and she told me exactly which box of cheeses I wanted, and she was right, and it was delicious. So we sat out there. We had, I believe, Deep Elm beer. I think that's right. Rahr & Sons was putting it on, so is that right? No. It was Rahr & Sons, and I had the Dadgum IPA and the cheese box, and we sat out there. We threw a blanket down on this really nice, I don't know how they keep the grass this green because of the heat we've had and the lack of rainfall, but it was just a beautiful green lawn that they have out there. Must be really watering the hell out of it. Anyway, super perfect environment, great for an outdoor venue. And Sean Russell from Cutthroat Finches had made a joke on a social media post that the mosquitoes were going to be really nice that evening. And I don't know that I've ever heard anybody refer to mosquitoes like that. But he was right. I don't remember there being any mosquitoes at all whatsoever. But I've also got that O positive blood type. So now you know that about me. And I don't think mosquitoes like that brand. They go for a different unleaded, I guess. What am I talking about? I was apologizing. It was a crazy weekend. It was a very, very, very crazy weekend. And then you guys know I've got a full-time job. And we had to start at 1 a.m. this morning. Monday was a 1 a.m. start. So I got to the about 7 o'clock hour yesterday, Sunday evening. And I'm thinking, man, if I don't try to get some sleep right now, I'm going to be in big, big trouble. So I made the executive decision to shut it down and revisit this after work closed out Monday. to get this episode to you. But I do want you to know that I take it very seriously getting these episodes out to you on the same day at the same time. I want that consistency to be there so you know it's always ready when you want it. So, all right, enough apologizing. It was a really cool weekend. I hope you had a great weekend. The weather was awesome. Sponsors. We've talked about Clayton Smith. I did a 5-minute apology. We talked about cheese and weird mosquito facts. And now you know my blood type. Sponsors. Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk is our big sponsor that has supported us for months and months and months, ever since the River Oak Springfest car show. You've heard me talking about that. And we held off until we got closer to episode 100 before we started doing sponsorship. But Roofing Solutions was one of the first ones to jump in there with us. You can find their information at roofingsolutionshouk.com, and they are doing 50% off for the podcast listeners. So when you call these guys, here's their number, 817-882-6520. Tell them that you heard about this on the Fort Worth Roots podcast, and they'll give you 50% off the roofing tune-up. Anyway, make sure you give them a call. Again, their website is roofingsolutionshouk.com, and we'll be in the show notes along with their phone number, 817-882-6520. Wood Post Metal Works. You can go to woodpostmetalworks.com and see all the amazing stuff that they've got going on over there. They provided us with 2 of these plasma cut custom home art pieces for the event that we were able to use as a giveaway item. And they have a industrial plasma cutter. They do light steel fabrication. They also do fence work, gate repair, custom gates, things like that. Anything and everything you could think of with a plasma cutter, they do it. I'm typing away at their website right now. I just want to see if anything cool has happened. Anything's changed. If you pull up Wood Post Metalworks, you can see all their cool stuff that they've got here. Car, trucks, and things with wheels, custom address signs, exercise, and staying fit. These are different categories for signs that they can make for you. Fire pits. Here's the thing that I like. You've heard me talk about this, I'm sure. They've got fire pits shaped like tractors, like Jeeps, like old vintage cars. They've got fire pits with different... I don't know if I should even say this, but yeah, NFL teams. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Raiders, Cowboys, Denver Broncos. It's all there, folks. And some of these grills are collapsible. So they're meant to be like, you pull these QD clips or pins, and you can fold this thing down, stick it in the back of your truck, and then pop that bad boy out whenever you get to your campsite or barbecue or wherever you're going. Take your fire pit with you. But I'm telling you, these things are incredible. They got a USN version one. They got a fire rescue one. It's cool stuff, man. Go check it out, woodpostmetalworks.com. And whenever you purchase something, you're going to find something you love there. You get 10% off by typing in code podcast817 at checkout. Houk Walker Originals. You can go to houkwalker.com for this one, folks. They brought out the tumblers, and they do all sorts of laser engraving for different things that you want to customize, but they brought out a showstopper to the event. There were these, I don't know how many ounces. I want to say 20 ounces. Maybe 30. 20 to 30 ounce tumblers. Doesn't matter, right? You don't care. But they customized it, and it's dope. And you can see some examples of this on the Facebook page, the Fort Worth Roots Facebook page. It's a big hit. I've got people calling me right now. In fact, Lucas is up north somewhere. I can't remember where. Sorry, Lucas. And he brought his little tumbler with him on his trip, and his mom was like, I want that. Let me have that. And so Lucas called me kind of halfway panicking, like, hey, man, can I get one of these if I give it to my mom? And I was like, I'll tell you what. Yeah, I'll order some more from Houk Walker Originals. I'm going to go to houkwalker.com, and I'm going to pick up some more. So, yeah, I can do that. And he's like, well, when do you think you'll get them? I was like, I don't know. He's like, well, I'm going to keep this one. I'll just mail my mom another one. I was like, you give your mother that cup now. So hopefully Lucas listened to my advice. I don't think he did, though, because he really likes that cup. But it's a reflection on how good of a job they did on these cups. I love it. And the video that you can see of them making these cups is really cool, too, on the Fort Worth Roots Facebook page. Anyway, Houk Walker Originals is incredible. Make sure you check them out. That's houkwalker.com. And thank you to our sponsors for supporting the Fort Worth Roots podcast. I think that's it for this week. And now I have to stop talking, like, sincerely, because I have got to get this episode out to you. and it is going to be almost a full 24 hours late. Just so you know, I put these episodes out Sunday evening before things get crazy, usually around 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And that also provides me a little bit of wiggle room if I need to work later on it or something like that. But target for me is always, about 1 o'clock. Guys, gals, if y'all made it out to the 100th episode party out at Pouring Glory, first of all, thank you for being there. And I'm looking for pictures and videos. So if you took pictures or videos out there at Pouring Glory, we do have some, but I'm greedy and I want more. And I'd like to showcase the art that you took, the pictures that you snapped. So if you would like to, and I would really appreciate it, you can email me that stuff to media@fortworthroots.com. Something I promised myself I would talk about, and I still, for some reason, am kind of reluctant to do it, but we do have a Patreon page where you can go and you can support the Fort Worth Roots podcast, and I have kind of decided that there is going to have to be different funding methods than trying to find sponsors. This is going to be a listener-supported show, I promise you. And I'm not just asking people to support the show arbitrarily. We do offer you something for your contribution at the, I believe it's $9 tier, which is, buying me a beer on 7th Street once a month. For that price, I've given you the entire back catalog. So everything that we've done without the editing, without the trimming and cutting, if you want to see the real train wreck, then we've got episodes that, whenever I release them, are 2.5 hours long. So what you hear on the podcast might be 2.5 hours long. But if you go to the Patreon version, and if you've contributed to the show and you have access to that catalog, that 2.5 hour episode is actually about 4 hours long. And there's a lot of that on there. Well, for every episode that I've put out, the unedited versions are at least 10 minutes longer, but most of them, especially the earlier ones, are 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours longer. So if you have any desire to hear all of it, it is there. And I'm not trimming these things down to hide anything or obscure the conversation or anything like that. I did it because I wanted you to get the best of the conversation, and I didn't want to bore you to death whenever I or my guest goes on like a really long rant about one thing that, maybe the listener didn't really care about. And I have to make that judgment call sometimes. So, and now when I do these recordings, I try to kind of keep them around an hour, and it's actually not even an intentional thought. We hit an hour and I start closing it down. But then, some of them, like Clayton Smith here, we're sitting around, we're drinking a beer. It's at the end of the day. I think it was a Saturday. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. But anyway, we just really sat around and bullshitted. And I think there's, another 20, 30 minutes that'll be available for you on the Patreon account. I am a few episodes behind on that because, believe it or not, even that takes extra work. Taking the unedited version, because you do actually have to edit it. You got to downsize it, and anyway, it's dumb too. But it's all hard work, and I'm going to keep doing it. I love doing this. It's me now. I podcast. I don't even like telling people my day job because it has nothing to do with my personality anymore. Okay, that's it. I need to get this episode out to you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. The Patreon is, just go to the Patreon website. It's where you can support artists, podcasters, musicians, things like that. And type in Fort Worth Roots. It'll pull right up. There's a $4 option, a $9 option, and then there's another crazy option that you'll just have to read the description on that one. I don't know. I'm just always coming up with ideas. So anyway, okay. All right. Thank you for being here. I will see you next week, and that one will be on time. I'll see you. All right. Bye.